You surf the web, indulge in some idle office gossip, and drink a large mug of coffee. Finally, when you have run out of excuses to dawdle further and begin to feel a mixture of guilt and panic welling up, you settle in front of the computer, crack your knuckles, and begin writing. You find the going tough, just as you had all of last week. The right words, the mots justes, as the French might call it, aren't coming to you. But you persevere doggedly. Finally, after a full hour of striving, you wonder why this chapter is proving so difficult to write. More out of desperation than hope, you revisit an old document containing the chapter outline, and as you review it, you have an epiphany. You realize that the storyline has a problem that needs to be fixed in order to make progress. You are simultaneously frustrated and elated by this discovery. You are frustrated because this means that you'll need to start the chapter from scratch. You're elated because you're confident that the revised storyline will work. You spend the next few minutes fighting the lethargy to restart the chapter, and finally take the plunge after a quick bathroom break. During the next hour, your office buddies come knocking to see if you'd like to join them for coffee. You decline. You're also interrupted by several phone calls and emails. You attend to these interruptions cursorily before getting back to work. It's only when you register a sharp pang of hunger that you realize you've been working non-stop for 3 hours. You wonder where the time went and how you could have gone on for so long without being interrupted. You look over at the phone and discover, to your surprise, that it's off the hook. You turn to your email and find that it's been closed. You realize that you must have taken the phone off the hook and closed the email at some point, although you have no recollection of doing either. Before you head out to a late lunch, you review what you have written and realize, with immense satisfaction, that you have accomplished more in 3 hours than you did all of last week. Flow. Most of us have experienced at one point or another what the leading psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls flow, the kind of experience in which you get so absorbed that you lose track of time. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi first documented the phenomenon back in the 1970s. In one of his best-known studies, Csikszentmihalyi gave his participants a beeper and a journal to carry with them over the course of a week. He programmed the beepers to go off at random times during these days. And whenever the beeper went off, participants were instructed to stop what they were doing and describe in the journal that they were given both what they were doing and how they felt while doing it. Thus, had you been a participant in the study and the beeper had gone off while you were writing the book chapter, you would have stopped typing, taken out the journal, and described what you were doing, writing chapter 2b of my book, and also described how you felt while doing it, frustrated and elated. At the end of the journal-keeping period, Csikszentmihalyi gathered up all the journals from all the participants and began poring over what they had written. Csikszentmihalyi was after the same thing that scores of philosophers and mystics from the past, from Aristotle to the Buddha, had been after: the recipe for happiness. Csikszentmihalyi's question. Put yourself in Csikszentmihalyi's shoes for a moment. Imagine that you're going through the journal entries of hundreds of respondents from various walks of life. What would you have found? What you would have found, I believe, would have depended on the questions you asked yourself as you were going over the journals. Had you asked, are certain jobs more satisfying than other jobs? You might have found that artists are better off than janitors. If, instead, you had asked, are people happier at work or elsewhere? You might have found that people are happiest when socializing, not so happy at work, and least happy when commuting. These findings, while interesting, wouldn't have been nearly as insightful as those that Csikszentmihalyi found. The genius of Csikszentmihalyi lay in the question that he posed, a question no scientist before him had tried to answer. His question was, is there something common to the experiences that people from various walks of life, from the plumber and the artist to the businessman and the scientist, find meaningful? And if so, what is it?